Sometimes these things happen in MMA.
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome to These Things Happen in MMA. The goal of this channel is to highlight crazy and spectacular moments that have made mixed martial arts into what it is today. Don't forget to follow the channel on social media at These Things MMA, and the link to my merch shop is in the description below. I'd also like to give a special thanks to James on YouTube for recommending the topic. In this episode, I'm going to talk about Nick Diaz and his incredible reign in Strikeforce that transformed him into one of the most popular fighters in the history of mixed martial arts. This is the story of Nick Diaz's Strikeforce title run. Prior to joining Strikeforce in 2009, Nick Diaz was starting to make a name for himself, having fought in organizations WEC, UFC, Pride, Elite XC, and Dream. He also managed to grow a huge following over the years, and although loved by MMA fans, Diaz struggled with consistency, never winning more than 4 fights in a row. However, in 2008, he was riding a 3-fight win streak when Strikeforce purchased the assets of Elite XC and acquired the contract rights to Diaz in the process. Nick's first bout with Strikeforce was against inaugural UFC light heavyweight champion, Frank Shamrock. Since vacating his UFC title, Shamrock continued to build his legacy, later becoming Strikeforce's middleweight champion as well. In 2008, Frank suffered one of the worst losses of his career when Kung Lee captured the middleweight title and broke his arm in the process. The bout against Diaz was to be Shamrock's return, and the contest was booked at a catchweight of 179 pounds.
You know, I don't like him.
Nick is a punk kid.
When I punch your head through the second row, hopefully there'll be someone to catch you.
I think I'm bigger and stronger.
Frank's too small for this weight class. He's got a little guy complex. He's smaller than I am. He likes to kind of walk around and smile. You can't get punched in your mouth like that, dude.
I don't appreciate the way he promotes MMA.
You think I give a shit about any of this? Don't with me, get in my face, you get slapped, period.
Oh, I just want to knock him out.
Oh, fuck you. So this is warfare.
When Frank Shamrock shows up, it's on.
The bout took place on April 11, 2009 at the HP Pavilion in San Jose, California. When the contest started, both men exchanged leg kicks for the first 30 seconds until Nick found an opportunity to bring the fight to the ground. Diaz was able to control Shamrock for well over a minute before attempting a Kimura that led to a scramble and allowed Frank to get back to his feet. The remaining second half of the round mostly saw Diaz control the center of the cage as he taunted Shamrock and picked him apart from the outside. After a slip from Shamrock in the final seconds, Diaz managed to get mount and rain down shots from top position until the horn sounded. As the second round began, Diaz immediately took the center of the cage and continued to pepper Shamrock with strikes on the feet. After a couple minutes, it was clear that Nick's pace was starting to wear on Shamrock, and eventually the former champion found himself trapped against the cage. Diaz then unloaded a barrage of strikes that dropped Shamrock, and he continued with ground and pound until John McCarthy stopped the contest. When the bout was over, Nick showed his respect to Frank Shamrock, who ended up retiring shortly after, and the victory felt like a passing of the torch moment.
Nick, first off, congratulations on a very impressive victory. Were you expecting the fight to go that easily for you tonight?
Who said it was easy, you know? I just know the other MMA fighters aren't in there putting in that work. And I know when they start, they're going to be really discouraged, and that discourages them, so they don't, you know, that's why they're in and then they're out. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I did that one time. But I'm in there every day. You can't be missing 1 or 2 days. I'm going to have that up on you, and you can't do that. Every day is going to count. So I put a lot of hard work in. People don't understand that.
After the fight, it was revealed that Diaz set an MMA record for total strikes thrown in a single round with 181 shots attempted. Less than 2 months later, Nick's next opponent will be Scott Smith, a wrestler with heavy hands who was coming off of 2 big knockout wins over Terry Martin and Benzi Radish. Smith was also a former WEC light heavyweight champion, but most known for his crazy comeback win over Pete Sell in the UFC.
Scott Smith is hurt badly, and as Pete went in for the kill, Scott Smith, always dangerous, finished the fight. That is crazy.
Promotional and media coverage for the bout was surprisingly quiet, considering how much attention Nick's previous fight received, and the matchup was again booked at a catchweight of 180 pounds. The contest served as the third bout at Strikeforce Lawler vs. Shields and took place on June 6, 2009 in St. Louis, Missouri. As the fight started, both men immediately met in the center of the cage, and Diaz landed a barrage of counters while taunting Smith. Diaz continued to land shots from the outside, and 2 minutes into the contest, Nick was overwhelming Smith with his boxing. After breaking from a clinch, Scott landed a huge right hand that stunned Nick. However, Diaz recovered quickly and landed a shot of his own that rocked Smith. Diaz would eat another hard right hand as the fight returned to the clinch, and eventually Nick was slammed into the canvas. Diaz quickly got back to the feet and continued to pepper Smith with shots until scoring a takedown in the final seconds of an action-packed first round. In the opening seconds of the second round, Nick came out even more aggressive, landing multiple strikes early. Within a minute, the pace of the fight was again overwhelming Smith, and he got hurt with a body shot after continuous pressure from Diaz. Smith would show the toughness that he's known for, and he managed to weather the onslaught as he continued to eat shots from Diaz to the head and body. The remaining second half of the round saw a lot more of Nick showing off his exceptional boxing skills, and he was able to drop Smith in the final seconds with another body shot. The third and final round started just like the previous two, with Nick getting in the face of Smith early. After another minute of continuous pressure, Diaz once again dropped Smith with a body shot and quickly took his back. Nick methodically worked both hooks in as he secured his position and sunk in a rear naked choke that ended the contest. When the statistics for the bout were made available, they again showed Nick Diaz as having a historic night. He broke his previous record of total strikes thrown in a single round with 221, and set the record for most strikes landed in a single round with 125.
I know that guy lives really close to me where I live, so I know what he does, I know who he trains with, and I know I work a lot harder than him. I didn't mean, be so rude out there and look all, poor sportsman, like however you say it, whatever. I know that guy. I don't like fighting people I know, and I don't appreciate people I know signing to fight me. So,
In August of 2009, Nick was set to rematch UFC veteran Joe Riggs at Strikeforce Serrano vs. Cyborg for the inaugural welterweight title. However, Riggs pulled out of the contest due to illness and was replaced by IFL welterweight champ Jay Heron. Then, leading up to the event, Diaz skipped out on a mandatory pre-fight drug test and was denied a license to compete by the California State Athletic Commission. During the post-fight press conference for Strikeforce Serrano vs. Cyborg, CEO Scott Coker announced a partnership with Japanese promotion Dream that would see both organizations share talent.
We have a lot of great fighters in Dreams, and we'll be able to test the best fighters of Strikeforce against the best fighters in Dream, and hopefully we'll be in Japan doing a co-promotion in a relative short time. As a fan of martial arts, you go, what would happen if this guy fought this guy? And now we have the opportunity to do it, and so we're excited.
Shortly after, in October of 2009, Strikeforce announced the signing of current Dream welterweight Grand Prix winner Marius Zaromskis. The Lithuanian was 9-1 in his last 10 fights, and most recently won by head kick at Dream 12 in just 19 seconds. With a new high-profile fighter under contract, Strikeforce rebooked the inaugural welterweight title bout with Nick Diaz versus Marius Zaromskis.
This will be an opportunity for him to come and win our belt and have the Dream belt. So he'll be the dual belt holder, and if Nick wins, then if we get off from Japan to go fight for their belt, then we'll propose it to Nick, and if you'd like to do it, then we'll send him. Charles, how do you have you watched Marius fight at all?
Yeah, I've seen. He hadn't had very many fights. That are viewable. His last fights he didn't Dream were more than enough to see what he has to bring to the table. So yeah, I've checked it out. I'm just happy to be fighting somebody important like this, a Dream champion.
The title fight took place on January 30th, 2010, and was the main event of Strikeforce Miami. Zaromskis started the contest with a jump kick and was aggressive early, tagging Diaz in the opening seconds. However, Nick would fire back and stagger the current Dream champion. The fight would then go to the clinch for the next minute, where Diaz landed over 50 strikes to the right thigh of Zaromskis. After separating, Nick continued to pressure with his boxing until Marius landed a combination of strikes that dropped Diaz. The fight eventually returned to the feet, and Diaz battered Zaromskis with strikes to the head and body. With less than 30 seconds remaining in the first round, Diaz landed a clean right hook that dropped Zaromskis and crowned Nick as the first ever Strikeforce welterweight champion.
Down goes Zaromskis, as is the Strikeforce welterweight champion. I mean, you have to start considering this guy one of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the world with striking like that, coupled with his jiu-jitsu skills.
So what was your game plan going in?
My game plan is I'm a better, well-rounded fighter than him, so I'm going to take what I can get. I'm going to try to set up my punches. I'm not going to let him breathe. I'm going to try to set up the body punch. I'm going to set up the knee to the body. I'm going to set up the knee to the leg. I'm going to put him on the fence. I'm going to control his wrist. I'm going to get the takedown. I'm going to go through the guard. I'm going to pass it. I'm going to take that leg. I'm going to break it off.
So what does it take to beat you?
It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and I'm ahead of the game. I got in here when I was 16 years old. I've been fighting for the last 9 years. Every 3 or 4 months, I've had a fight. I did jiu-jitsu tournaments. I did triathlon. I did anything to keep the anxiety rolling. Like I said, I'm ahead of the game, so you're going to go ahead and try to catch up. But
less than 3 months after winning the welterweight title, on April 17, 2010, Diaz would take part in the infamous Strikeforce Nashville Brawl that occurred when Jason Miller interrupted Jake Shields' post-fight interview.
Where's my rematch, buddy? All right, sometimes these things happen in MMA. A lot of testosterone in the cage. Gentlemen, we're on national television. Gentlemen, we're in national television. We are going to step away right now on CBS. Back right after this.
The Brawl was viewed as a black eye on the sport and a bad look for Strikeforce, with 3 other champions being involved.
A melee occurred after Jake Shields successfully defended his middleweight strap against Dan Henderson. Many feel it was a black eye on the sport that is often unjustly criticized.
Punishment for those involved are yet to be determined by the Tennessee Athletic Commission, and in the meantime, Diaz would have his next fight in Japan against Hayato Sakurai as part of the ongoing cooperation between Strikeforce and Dream. Sakurai is a Japanese legend who was undefeated throughout his first 20 MMA bouts, before running into Anderson Silva at promotion Shoto back in 2001. Being a huge fan of Japanese mixed martial arts, Diaz had been wanting to fight Sakurai for quite some time, and the two would finally meet at Dream 14 in a non-title bout.
So I think it's been 2 years since your last fight in Dream. Can you tell us how you feel?
Yeah, I feel good. It's a little disappointing that it's going to be in a cage and not a ring. I enjoy fighting here in Japan under the the regular Dream Pride rules.
Can you tell us how you feel about your opponent, Sakurai Ma?
I feel like, this guy's been trying to get ready to fight for a long time. I've been trying to get this fight for a really long time, to fight over here in Japan. I thought he was the right opponent before, but they ended up switching my opponents on me, and I ended up not coming out here, and, I had a lot of different things happen, postpone this fight, but it's a great honor to finally to be here and ready to fight, and to be fighting Hayato Sakurai, and I'm just glad to be getting a show on the road.
The contest took place on May 29, 2010 and was held at Japan's famous Saitama Super Arena. Nick started the contest like usual as he took the center of the cage and stalked his opponent. However, Sakurai was able to land first with a nice combination. Diaz pressed forward and managed to get a takedown, although Sakurai held his own on the ground, landing decent strikes off his back. Diaz controlled Sakurai for well over a minute, until returning to the feet after a scramble and eating a hard right hand. When the fighters separated, Diaz pressed the action and Sakurai executed a well-timed takedown, once again bringing the fight to the ground. Diaz methodically worked from his guard and eventually locked in an armbar that forced Sakurai to tap, securing the 9th first-round finish of his career. When the contest was over, Nick showed tremendous respect for Sakurai both in cage and at the post-fight press conference.
He punches hard, and he's a really good stand-up striker. I knew that, though. I know that. It's not like he didn't surprise me with it, because I knew I was probably going to end up getting hit with something like that. I think that he is a really experienced, really good fighter, and I think he has a little bit more to offer to the sport before he's done. I don't think that he should call it quits right now.
Probably by now you have already heard the decision of the Tennessee Athletic Commission. Do you have a reaction to their decision?
I didn't hear anything about that, so I don't even know. I have no idea.
知らないので全くコメントもできません。
Diaz, along with 5 other participants in the Brawl, were each given 3-month suspensions as well as a small monetary fine. With the controversy behind him, Nick was booked for his next fight. He'd be rematching KJ Noons from the 2007 title bout that took place in Elite XC, and saw Noons win after a cage-side doctor stopped the contest due to a cut sustained by Diaz.
Nick Diaz unable to continue. Nick Diaz not happy with the decision. KJ Noons is your new Elite XC 160-pound world champion.
The bad blood only intensified when Nick was brought into the cage after KJ's first title defense, and in true Diaz fashion, a scuffle broke out between the two camps after dropping his famous quote.
Oh, don't be scared, homie.
Chaos is ensuing here in the cage of the Blaisdell Arena. KJ Noons, Nick Diaz, again living up to his reputation as the bad boy of mixed martial arts. The Diaz brothers, Paul Academy's #1 in Hawaii.
Since their first meeting in 2007, KJ had compiled a 6-fight win streak, with his most recent victory being a knockout over George Gagel at Strikeforce Houston. With Diaz on a career-high 7-fight win streak, the rematch was highly anticipated and received a ton of promotion. This time around, Nick had a renewed sense of motivation to prove that he was the better fighter, and his confidence was at an all-time high.
He landed some lucky shots and opened up some cuts, so they stopped the fight, but I was far from done fighting, so. And he just had no business, being a main event of a show anyways. Who was he? Nobody knew who KJ Noons was. That's the thing, I'm not excited about fighting people who aren't good.
The main event took place on October 9th, 2010, and was again held at the HP Pavilion in San Jose, California. The contest started with the filling out process for the first minute and a half, until Diaz landed a short right hand that stunned Noons as the fight went to the ground. After finding their way back to the feet, Nick continued to land strikes and taunt KJ until the end of the round. As the second began, Noons landed a left hand that opened a cut over the right eye of Diaz, though Nick would fire back with a nice combination of his own. The remaining 4 minutes of the round was much more even, stayed entirely on the feet, with both fighters trading hard shots in a back-and-forth war. The stand-up battle continued in the third, with Diaz landing cleaner shots and taking the momentum of the fight. As the contest wore on, Nick's cardio only seemed to increase while KJ's appeared to fade, and Diaz was clearly ahead at the end of 15 minutes. Heading into the championship rounds, the fight was turning into a slugfest, and Diaz again got the better of the stand-up in the fourth, rocking KJ in the last minute. In the fifth and final round, Nunes was slightly more active, knowing he was down in the fight. However, it wouldn't be enough, and the bout went the full 25 minutes. When the contest was over, both fighters combined to throw over 1,000 strikes total, and Nick was announced the winner by unanimous decision, earning his first title defense in an instant classic. At the post-fight press conference, KJ revealed that he broke both his hand and jaw in the contest, and after the impressive victory, there was no doubting that Nick was one of the best welterweights in the world.
I just got the x-rays. I think my hand, well, I know my hand is broke. I broke it, I think, in the second round. My jaw is broke. I broke it in the first round. He's a soldier.
Are you happy the KJ Nunes saga is over?
Yeah, you know, I want to get on to fighting some more important people. Not that this guy's not a great fighter. You know, I give it to you, man. You're a good fighter. This guy built a name on me, though. You know, I want to fight somebody that built their own name. You know, in MMA. I want to fight George St. Pierre. You know, if you don't think I'm the best, then let me fight this guy.
Do you feel you're finally being respected as a pound-for-pound fighter in the sport?
Why not? You know, who's out there? I mean, come on. How do these guys expect to beat me? I fought everybody, you know. They don't let me fight George, you know. I fought everybody that fought him already, pretty much, you know.
In the months leading up to the Nunes rematch, Jason Miller took every opportunity he could to hype a fight between himself and Diaz, and it seemed like Nick's next opponent was an obvious choice given their history. However, Diaz wasn't too keen on the matchup, and felt that Miller was a subpar fighter using a persona to further his career.
I just want to tell you, fuck you. Double. Fuck you. You charge my whole team, so you got your fucking ass whooped. That's what you get, you stupid motherfucker. I wouldn't charge your whole shit, fucking 6 guys. You dumb motherfucker. Trying to market yourself. You have a character. Like, you have to walk around and be that asshole every day. That's too bad for you, man. You got gold teeth and funny hair. The fuck is that? I don't know why you want to live your life like that, man. You're gonna go ahead and be mad at me and blame me for jumping you because you got jumped, because you got your ass whooped, because you're bitter about how you got your fucking ass handed to you. I'm a lot of favors, man. You know what I mean?
Don't be scared, homie.
Now, is this your way of campaigning for a fight against Nick Diaz sometime in the future?
I just want to let it be known that, dude, I'm not scared. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to go anytime. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm in the middle of this weird publicity war where, you know, people think that I don't want the fight. I want the fight. Hell yeah, I want the fight. Of course I want the fight, because I will whip his ass. They don't even speak English. They speak mumbling gibberish. Haven't you seen this on YouTube? I saw it. You know, if the fight doesn't happen, well, we know why. We know why.
Why?
I ain't no bitch.
Ultimately, the two sides were unable to agree on terms and the bout never materialized. Instead, Scott Coker made the next biggest fight he could, and Diaz was matched up against Evangelista Cyborg Santos. Coming into the contest, Santos was on a 2-fight win streak and held a spotty record. However, he was the name that fans knew for his exciting fight style and being married to current Strikeforce Women's Featherweight Champion Chris Cyborg, who shared the same moniker.
He's a great fighter. He's better than the other guys that they had, you know, in line. So, but you know, he has a really different style. He just comes, you know, real hard. So you never know, anything can happen. So, but I have a lot of respect for him, and I have a lot of respect for his wife, the champion, and I think it should be a good fight on Saturday.
The bout took place on January 29, 2011, and was held once again in Strikeforce's hometown of San Jose, California at the HP Pavilion. The first minute saw Cyborg throw numerous leg kicks until Nick was able to close the distance and slow the pace. Diaz continued to press forward and engage in the stand-up, however Santos countered aggressively using his powerful kickboxing to keep Nick at distance. Cyborg proceeded to chop away at the legs of Diaz for the next minute, until Nick put together over a 20-punch combination that hurt Santos and changed the course of the fight. In the final moments of the round, Cyborg's conditioning was starting to fade as Diaz gained momentum, and it was clear that Santos was compromised heading into the second. As the next round started, Cyborg once again came out strong with heavy leg kicks and shots to the body. However, Diaz remained calm, showing his phenomenal conditioning, and began boxing up a tired Santos. The two would trade strikes in the center of the cage for the remainder of the contest, until Diaz capitalized on a last-minute takedown from Cyborg and finished the fight by armbar in the final seconds of the round. Immediately after the bout, controversy ensued as Nick proceeded to argue and flip off someone in the crowd while a drink was thrown into the cage. When the drama settled, Scott Coker announced at the post-fight press conference that fans voted Diaz vs. Nunes as fight of the year, and there was a lot more talk of Nick facing Jason Miller for his next bout.
Nick, quick question. I know we've probably talked about Mayhem way too much right here. Probably sick of it. Would you be interested in that fight?
I don't think that'll be a title fight. You know, I'm fighting for a title, so if I'm not going to be fighting for the title, then like I said, you know, they can go ahead and work that out. I already said I'll fight at 185 pounds. I don't care. Can you make it worth my while, please? This is hard stuff. It's not easy. I train hard every day. I work more than 7, 6, 8-hour days every day. And they're harder than your 8-hour days of holding the camera or
you know, going to work and it's different, you know. You can't do this what I do, you know. So I think that, you know, money talks.
We had over 100,000 fans vote for their favorite fighter and their favorite fight, and Nick Diaz won both of them. And I'd like to bring those awards up for Nick Diaz Strikeforce Fighter of the Year.
Once again, a potential fight with Miller couldn't be made, and on March 12, 2011, Dana White and the UFC announced the acquisition of Strikeforce. In an exclusive interview with Ariel Helwani, Dana broke the news to the MMA world and stated that Strikeforce would continue to operate as a separate entity from the UFC.
I think you have a very big announcement to make. UFC has purchased Strikeforce. Is that true?
That is true. People enjoy the fights that they're putting on, and it made sense to us.
So does this mean guys like Alistair Overeem, Fedor Emelianenko, all those big names, Nick Diaz, Paul Daley, all those guys, they're going to become UFC fighters starting next month?
No. The Strikeforce is gonna continue to run business as usual. You know, there's contracts in place. These guys are on Showtime, and all those contracts will be honored. These guys are going to remain Strikeforce fighters.
Less than 1 month after the announcement, Diaz was set to make his third title defense against Paul Semtex Daley, a heavy-handed striker from the UK. Daley was 8-1 in his last 9 fights, with his lone loss coming at UFC 113 against Josh Koscheck a year prior. The defeat made MMA news at the time due to Daley hitting Koscheck after the final bell and subsequently getting banned from ever competing in the UFC again. With two of the most controversial fighters in the sport facing off, along with the UFC's recent acquisition, there was plenty of attention on the matchup leading up to the event.
I expect Nick Diaz to fight. That's what he does. That's what he does best. Whether he's on his back, whether he's in top position, or whether he's boxing. He's good at what he does, so that I'm just prepared for a fight, and that's what I'm excited about. The fact that it's going to be a fight. There ain't going to be no lay and pray bitching out. We're going to be in a fight, and that's what I do best.
The bout took place on April 9, 2011 in San Diego, California, and was the second event since being purchased by the UFC. In the opening moments of the fight, Diaz immediately pressed forward and began trash-talking Daley until a left hook landed that momentarily brought Nick to his knees. Daley was unable to capitalize on the moment, and Diaz once again continued to move forward, pressuring Semtex with strikes against the cage. Diaz then unloaded one of his massive boxing combinations to the head and body that forced Daley to shoot for a takedown. The fight eventually returned standing, where both men proceeded to land bombs on each other until Semtex connected with another left hook that dropped Diaz. Daley landed some nice ground and pound with Nick on the canvas, however once again Diaz would recover and get back to his feet. As Diaz poured on the pressure with combinations, a jeopardized Daley would stagger to the canvas, and Nick finished the fight in dramatic fashion with 3 seconds left in the round.
It's over! Wow! Diaz has made history! Nick Diaz finishing Daley!
Diaz vs. Daley featured one of the best rounds of 2011, and the bout would be Nick's third and final defense with Strikeforce as he later vacated the belt and signed with the UFC. Strikeforce would continue to operate for 2 more years before dissolving in 2013, and the UFC would sign many of the promotion's top fighters. Diaz would have a less than ideal UFC run, winning his debut against BJ Penn before having his 11-fight win streak snap with consecutive losses to Carlos Condit, George St. Pierre, and Anderson Silva. Diaz most recently made his return in a losing effort against Robbie Lawler at UFC 266, and at the time of this recording, it's unclear whether Nick will continue his MMA career. Regardless if we never get to see Nick Diaz compete at a high level again, his legacy is secured as one of the most technical, hardest working, and exciting fighters of all time. At the height of Nick's career, he was one of the biggest stars mixed martial arts had ever seen, and provided the sport with so many memorable moments. Whether you're a fan of Nick Diaz or not, his time in Strikeforce is undeniable and helped MMA grow to where it's at today, so let us never forget Stockton's finest and his incredible title run. As always, I posted some related material in the description for those interested. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with the topic you'd like to hear me cover in a future episode. Again, don't forget to follow the channel on social media at These Things MMA, and the link to my merch shop is in the description below. Thanks for watching and supporting my channel.
You know, Nick Diaz changed the game in terms of his elite cardio. He did something that was a new thing, and that new thing was he's not going to hit you with 100% power. He's going to hit you with 50%, but he's going to hit you twice as much, and you're never going to get to breathe. And he's going to stay on top of you, and he's going to talk to you the whole time. So he's going to fuck with you psychologically. He's going to disrupt your breathing by constantly hitting you. And then once he realizes you're hurt, then he's digging to the body. Then he's putting it on you. And on top of that, black belt jiu-jitsu skills, really good wrestling takedown defense, fucking chin made of iron, and an unstoppable will. Like his will to beat you was just unstoppable. When Nick was at the top in Strikeforce, to this day, I think he's one of the best fighters that's ever done it.
Sometimes these things happen in MMA.